E-gaming bets, online betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Playing CSGO? Guess the number of rounds in a certain match. Daily quest for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Starladder I-League Star Series Season 3. This is our last matchup for the European side of the bracket. It will be all done and dusted after this. One of these teams will be going through to the LAN finals, which will begin on the 3rd. The other team will be staying at home and will just have to, will pretty much cry themselves to sleep at night. Either way, joining me today is going to be Scrawny, and well, I'm going to throw you straight in. Who do you think is going to be taking this one?
I'm going to go with a bit of a confident pick here, and I'm going to say HellRaisers. HellRaisers straight up, simply because I think that, you know, with these newer additions to the roster, these younger kids, they've been putting up massive amounts of numbers. We've seen a lot from Dead Fox, a lot from Stiko, and I hope that we do see that yet again. In the match that matters most, Tom, that's the most crucial aspect of this, right? Like, there's a lot on the line with the outcome of this game. Both these teams have had their chance to qualify. Both teams came up short versus Fnatic and then G2 respectively. So again, there's a lot of pressure here, and I just feel as though HellRaisers are going to come out on top tonight.
Yeah, no, they have looked very, very good as of recently, and from what we saw in the last matchup versus G2, Envy did look a little bit flat, even on Train, but prior to that, we've actually seen some solid performances even from the new members of the team. I think XMS has actually been one of the win factors for this team, a star in the making, and I definitely want to see if he can perform today. I always like to make things a little bit interesting, so I am going to side with Envy for this one. I think obviously they're much more of an explosive team. Like, obviously if Scream steps up, RPK has definitely been having his moments as of recently, so I'm going to stick with the French. I think it should go to 3 maps. We haven't seen too much Mirage at all from Envy, at least since they've reformed with this lineup. So I think they're going to have to take Train, and then obviously towards the end we will go on to Inferno as the last map, as that sort of deciding factor. Either way, into the pistol round, and we are going to have an aggressive push over towards this B site.
Yeah, HellRaisers going straight for the fight. They've got the single smoke as well, so that's already going to pop towards the bottom of the ramp. The flashbangs to follow suit over top. And of course, they will find the site with relative ease. RPK to the back of the train yard, though. He's trying to find a headshot, and he will. Dropping Dead Fox before the T's can plant the bomb, but they do follow suit with the device. Zero also toppled over as RPK continues to slay. 3 frags to his name already before Stiko gets somewhat of a response. But seeing as he's down to 13 health, it's going to be tough. He's already found a second, though, and he does still stand to the site itself. Over towards the bomb, coming back around to the side is where he'll meet his demise. EnVyUs stand with 3 as they find themselves the pistol.
What an incredible job by RPK. He played a very passive role, and I quite like that pistol setup from them. Rather than going aggro and taking these duels where the Glock will have the advantage, they sit back, they wait for the players to push in, because obviously with those Glocks, as I said, you want to get close, so they want to push up, they want to take control of the B site. Instead, RPK denies all 4 players that try and push. The only one left towards the end was Stiko, and well, he did his best, but there was no way he was coming out of that one alive. Either way, we are going to have to buy into this round from the CTs at least. A little bit less risky than they normally go for. They've actually been a team to just go straight with the SMGs, but obviously knowing the likelihood is there's going to be a buy in the next round of AKs or a force up in this round, they're going to want to go for a couple of extra rifles, and you can see Sixer and XMS will have the FAMASs in play.
Of course, EnVyUs with their fingers crossed, hoping that these SMGs are able to find the frags before HellRaisers can pummel their way into the site itself. But of course, HellRaisers is going to go with what works most often when it comes to plants, the standard B site push. They are going to get themselves down the ramp, but here is where they meet Happy and their fall. 3 players toppled before Happy finds the 4th. It's just Angel remaining, and as he circles back, he finds a bullet to the face. Happy with a great push through the smoke there. He saw exactly what was happening. He realized that HellRaisers were just trying to get into the site, and he just punctures into their push from the side. Excellent play from him to shut down the Glocks. But it is AKs, as you had mentioned, Tom.
Yeah, this is where things will become that little bit more difficult for the CT side. Obviously, they keep a couple of SMGs in place, so this is a little bit risky. It's a sort of a bonus round, but at the same time, they haven't really been able to build up that much money onto anyone other than Happy, who got the majority of those kills in the previous round, meaning that even if they do sort of have one of those rounds where it's close, they're still going to have problems buying into the next one. So I'm not a huge fan of this. I would have quite liked to see Happy buy back up with a rifle and go for the safer play, but if they can make this work, it's going to do absolute wonders for their economy. Now, early round presence does suggest that they're going to be attempting to go over towards this A spot, but you can see the aggression that's already come out from the CT side. They've taken complete control over A main, which is something that Scream, I expect him to be doing this all the way through the game. Now, they've waited for any sort of B aggression, which is yet to come, and that could actually switch them out to maybe rotate back.
These two players for EnVyUs inside of T-Con are a win condition in and of themselves. Even if HellRaisers had committed to that Ivy push, they would have found themselves sectioned off because of this positioning. But now HellRaisers, having rotated their two players from T-Con into this position, are actually going to make contact early. So a bit of a prime fight as XMS finds one. Dead Fox trades it back immediately before Scream attempts to peek wide, but Dead Fox still standing until the shot does connect. Scream swapping back to the AK and a man advantage here for the EnVyUs forces. HellRaisers, meanwhile, have yet to make their way into the B bomb site, and with no presence on A, they're going to have to push now. RPK yet once more locking them down with a 3K yet again. He sets up shop. That site is on lockdown.
Yeah, RPK off to a phenomenal start, and well, it was something that was mentioned at the beginning of the game. He is one of those players that can be a little bit hit and miss, and at the moment, it's all hit. He's doing the damage, shutting down the site. The aggression also works out, which sort of counters the problem of having the SMG on screen, because he's able to get so close with that ump. We know how powerful it is once you get to that sort of range, and he's able to pick up an AK and dominate over on that A site as well. So back to pistols for HellRaisers. There's a little bit of a peek coming out from RPK, so he does have to be a bit careful. He's still the solo man over on this B site, and we know that HellRaisers, even though they will have a decent buy going into the next round, the bomb plant will help them out significantly.
Bit more defensive positioning coming out from EnVyUs. Going to play back here towards the B site. RPK on top of the oil tankard. Shots rattling by his side, but oh, he pops Angel from afar as XMS topples Stiko as well. RPK doubles down. Of course, just the pistols here for HellRaisers, so not expecting them to come out with much, but as they are just being plucked one after another, it's really going to leave them with absolutely nothing. Of course, if you see those 5-man pushes into either of the two sites, then maybe they'll grab a frag, maybe they'll get away with the bomb plant and have that extra cash, but this is not the case. EnVyUs just shutting them down on all counts as XMS finds yet another frag. He too sits on 2, and it's just down to Bondic. Waiting for the smoke grenade to fade. Bomb outside of the doorway as well, sectioned off, and ever so present are the EnVyUs players, dangerously close.
Yeah, they have a little bit of a crossfire on the bomb as well. Don't expect him to get anything done in this scenario. Waiting up close will be XMS to even peek out if anything does go wrong, but it won't. Flawless round from Envy. Exactly what they need to just build up that CT economy, and so far, well, at least other than the pistol, they've had 4 or more players surviving, so their money is starting to build up significantly. And while over on the other side, we will finally see the AWP coming in onto Dead Fox. He actually opts to go for nades over the Kevlar he could have bought up, which means obviously versus grenades, he's going to be very, very vulnerable, and that is not a good start to the round. Stiko down to 39 HP, courtesy of his teammate.
Yeah, a little bit awkward to start off a crucial gun round here before, you know, EnVyUs just continue forward with all this economy. So hopefully Stiko's able to mitigate that initial loss. It would be a shame to see that have impact in the round. But again, EnVyUs went aggressive early on. They get the players closer to T-Con, maybe preemptively expecting some kind of a T-Con push, but not this time around as HellRaisers yet again just creep their way across the map. And we've seen them go for this 2-player Ivy play quite frequently already. However, normally they fall back from it. Looks as though this time they are going to continue to engage, attempting to find contact versus Sixer, who now falls back further towards the CT spawn. And while this hasn't given up any lives, it does give up some map control here to the HellRaisers side. Again, the bomb still over towards Ladder, could very ambiguously switch to the B bomb site, but for the time being, they're really waiting for Angel to find some kind of an opening.
It's just going to be set up, but it'll be 0 to actually make the push onto the side. They've got 40 seconds left. They're trying to split this. A lot of players over towards Bomb Train at the moment as well for the CT side. They're sort of leaving map control open for HellRaisers, but at the same time, they're in positions where they will be able to retake quite significantly. Unfortunately, the bomb's going to go down relatively easily, and now a 5-man retake. Loads of afterplant positions for the T's to actually come in from, and Sticko is even going to go aggressive. Takes down one more. XMS is able to trade, but still leaves them with a disadvantage overall. And while the CTs, they sort of have to consider how, well, worthwhile it actually is to go for this sort of push. XMS, his position is definitely known, and as said, these crossfire positions are just shutting them down one by one. Happy even decides at the end it's not worth it, wants to keep his AK in play, and a nice take from HellRaisers, but it does have to be said, complete opposite to what we've seen from Envy so far. Previously, they were taking control, taking over A main, having positions that were valuable. In that round, they were just all on Bomb Train.
And I think that you know, that lack of aggression, the presence of passiveness from EnVyUs is really what cost them the round, because you said it yourself. Not only was the retake already incredibly nearby with all those players just sitting on the other side of the bomb plant train, but what they had done was given so much opportunity for HellRaisers to get themselves into after plants before the bomb was ever planted. There was no kind of aggression towards the upper halls to flank out the ladder room. There was no push back into Ivy. So we saw Sixer initially lose control of it to Angel. There was just very passive play from EnVyUs, and then by the time the bomb is planted and it's their turn to push forward, they realize HellRaisers have things on lockdown. So a great round from HellRaisers. They're able to keep a lot of their players alive as well. The only man dropping being Sticko, who we saw tagged very early on in the round regardless. And so honestly quite expected. But EnVyUs 4-1, they're going to be able to buy back accordingly. It's a full purchase from them as well as the HellRaisers side. And they are yet again on the T side just going to spread themselves thin once more with the 2 players over towards Ivy.
This time waiting for them is going to be Sixer with the AWP. He has picked up this mantle since the loss of Kenny and has been doing reasonably well with it so far. Now the push is going to be coming in from Angel. Once again, playing relatively passively. But in the meantime, this time they've taken map control. Scream with the double and the bomb over towards Pop. This is going to be so difficult to actually get back into the round for the T's. However, the first pick onto Sixer over towards Ivy will help them out.
Happy's going to look for the repeat, though, trying to creep on in. Finds Dead Fox, looks for more. Angel returning fire as Happy goes back towards the corner, comes into his demise as Angel drops him down. It is going to be HellRaisers sitting at the man disadvantage still with no bomb control either, but Bondic creeping in. He finds XMS just to be returned back by Scream, and so Angel now has to clutch in a 1v2. He's already found himself a frag in the round, but there's 15 seconds on the clock, so if he wants to make this happen, he has to just barrel through the smoke. Dangerous of a decision it would be, and so he's not going to make it. Just sits here and waits, hoping that the smoke does dissipate and allow for him to find another frag, but Scream's going to exit accordingly, and EnVyUs with the hard reset versus HellRaisers. As we said in the previous round, there was no map control being taken, Tom, and ladder room this time around is contested early on, pays off with great dividend.
Well, yeah, I think if I was going to pick one of the worst places in the whole map for the bomb to be dropped, I think Pop Dog would probably be the one I'd go for. It's such a close-range scenario. To get back in, you either have to drop in or literally walk into a crossfire, which we saw. And it was just a horrible place for them to try and get back into the round. They almost managed to do it. If Scream had gone down, the round would have fallen into their favor. Unfortunately for them, he was good enough to do the damage. Now, this time we are going to see a switch up. Once more, they're looking to just head over towards this B site, and I like that they're actually just going more for a standard take rather than having sort of feelers, I suppose, all the way around the map. It can work sometimes, but in the last round at least it went so badly wrong that just playing this round as a team could be worthwhile. Now, they do have a 2-man setup, which is actually fairly uncommon, but it's going to be that push straight in. RPK once again starting things off. He has looked invincible on this site. Will fall, but he already has the support from Happy. Deadbox pushing straight out, and Happy gets his second. The man holding the flank is going to be Angel, but it doesn't even matter as XMS will win that duel as well, and they're going to be reset to pistols.
My God, this B site is just being locked down so efficiently between this RPK/Happy combo. Even when RPK does die, we see Happy, you know, just reposition himself to his side, come up with the trade frags, and then continue to deny any kind of a bomb plant. There's the round where he himself, Happy, goes barreling through the smoke grenade as well, ambitiously taking frags. And then what this does is forces HellRaisers back to the A site because they're finding no wiggle room whatsoever at B. They feel as though maybe they need to split A. And I think this is why we're starting to see HellRaisers go for this, you know, 2-player towards Ivy, feel out the bottom of ladder. They don't want to just push 5 players in one direction, but rather are trying to split into A time and time again. And unfortunately for them, it's been the aggressive plays from EnVyUs, the pushing of ladder, the peeking into T-Con that keep HellRaisers at bay. And once again, they're down 2 players as they're trying to get into the bomb site. It is just pistols, of course, and so it gets ripped limb from limb as EnVyUs find all 5 frags without taking a single loss.
Yeah, and well, rounds like that is exactly what you need on the CT side. Just building your economy up tenfold, not having any sort of problems, just having all the money that you need to consistently rebuy. Obviously, Happy still has himself 11,600 in the bank, only dying once so far in this game. And, well, that's impressive in itself, considering also in 8 rounds the maximum deaths they have is actually 4. So, really looking dominant at this point in time. RPK may have a few players coming in his direction once again. They have looked to clear up a bit. He has rotated back around and maybe peeking into his death. There's so many players here, and well, exactly as said, Sticko will take him down, leaving just Happy on the site, and the rotation isn't going to be able to be this quick. Scream is going to make his way over, but they should be able to get out onto the site before anything really comes in.
Happy on the other side of the smoke has kept players at bay. Rotation has arrived now. Scream from above and still bolstering the defense's Sixer within connector, but his attention's pulled back to the A site. So we do see EnVyUs with a 2-2 split, and now more contact made. Scream finds the headshot. Angel taken down and doubles down as well onto 0, leaving it just 1 player with the bomb on his back alone up here towards the halls. Bondic tries to get into the A site meanwhile, and he too is stopped in his tracks. So Stiko, 45 seconds on the clock, an AK in hand, but as he peeks wide, XMS already making contact and finalizing the round with yet another kill. It is EnVyUs to the 8-1 score, and again, convincing fashion.
Yeah, and the pause coming in is definitely needed at the moment for HellRaisers. I feel like they've got their ideas in place. Like you saw in that round, they had the players ready to push in towards the B site, and they had Bondic on that lurk roll waiting so that he could then flank him from behind and make that B take or B retake a lot more difficult because he would be in the flank as they tried to push forward. Unfortunately, they didn't get any entries onto the site. The only kill they got was actually at the beginning of the round when they took out RPK. And it is one of those sort of catch-22s where you think, okay, do we now aggress and just try and take down what is likely to be only one more player? Or do we wait and hope that they over-rotate and make mistakes? Now, in this situation, it would have been better, obviously in hindsight, for them to go aggressive into the site, as there was only 1 player there, the rotation was nowhere near. But I don't mind the way they play it. The problem is they then get caught out on the other side of the map as they try and push in, and Scream's able to even up the scoreline before anything really begins.
Yeah, the rotation really paying off, seeing as it was Scream who took down those next 2 headshots. And we could see HellRaisers still had 4 players in that direction. So, again, their attention was trained towards the B-bomb site, and they have seemed a little fixated on it. But the problem is, of course, every time they go here, they just get locked down. And when they finally remove RPK, it is still a 4-man success for EnVyUs. But this time it's HellRaisers already into the A-bomb site. Great flash from Scream. He takes the fight and takes the frag as well. But now the bomb, as it's planted, sits in a 4v3. HellRaisers have turned this round on its head as Bondic finds yet another frag. Down goes Sixer before XMS responds back with 2. Bondic goes further though as 0 finalizes yet another round here to the favor of HellRaisers. A pistol round at that, Tom. They didn't even expect to come out with a win.
Yeah, and well, the strategy they went for this time, unlike all the other rounds, was very, very basic. Throw out some smokes, block off the choke points, get the bomb down, and just charge with those pistols. And it did seem to catch the CT side off guard. Now, what's more interesting from my perspective is they get caught off by a fast round and then by double orbs. I think that's a really weird way to go about it from Envy, especially if they did that again. It could leave them in trouble. Luckily for them, they're not doing that again. They're going back to their slow default round. And I would have quite liked the sort of Virtus Pro style of, okay, if something works, let's try it again. And until they stop us, we'll just keep doing it. whereas they've just gone back to what wasn't working. So maybe that will be the switch up, just that little bit of life. Sometimes a cheesy round like that can wake up a few players. At the same time, if you're doing the same thing over and over again, I think the CTs are going to be able to handle it.
Handling it already here in the 11th round as well. 5 versus 4 to the favor of EnVyUs already. And again, they go aggressive towards the A site. Scream taking a position towards the bottom of the ladder. We did, of course, see HellRaisers pry towards Ivy at the beginning of the round, but they too have fallen back. So again, just the textbook rotation that we've seen HellRaisers use for the majority of these T-side rounds. Now, Scream's going to get chipped down to 56th health as the frag grenade rains in. XMS also hit quite substantially as he loses a quarter of his health. But HellRaisers have burned a good portion of the time off of the clock. 35 seconds still sits, and they have yet to make a move from the back of the box halls. Now, HellRaisers rotating players over towards the T-Con entrance by the looks of things, so seems as though in the very last seconds of the round, they're going to try to just execute right into A. Scream lying in wait. He finds one, trades back by XMS, and yet again the bomb has fallen inside of Pop Dog, and it's all down to Bondic in a 1v4. He already knows this round is lost, so he tucks tail, falls back to the T-spawn, and will look to fight another day.
Yeah, and this is what you sort of call a worst-case scenario at the moment for HellRaisers. He will get a freebie kill, and that will enable him to actually retrieve an AWP. Now, handing that over to DevFox, he is a player who can open up rounds, although thus far has been very, very quiet. And in fact, a lot of the time when you look at HellRaisers, the players to step up are DevFox and probably Angel. Obviously, Zero is the one that you hope will step up, but he can be very, very quiet in these sort of games. And I'm getting a little bit worried for them, because that's twice now that they've managed to win one round, and then there's been absolutely no conversion at all. They haven't been able to pick up anything else. They've gone back to what was something that didn't work at all. And also, they burned down the time again to a point of, okay, now we have to do something that is incredibly risky. Going down Pop, well, we've already seen the CTs take over that multiple times. They had to have an idea that there would be someone there. And even if they had got that kill onto Scream, I think there was only about 15 seconds left to try and make the rest of their play.
Yeah, exactly. So there would have had to have been the retrieval of the bomb from T-Con. It's really playing down to the last few seconds here. So HellRaisers instead this round going to come in with just a few pistols, the AK and an AWP in the hands of DevFox. He is going to be the linchpin of the round. It is he who should be able to find some kind of an opening, unless the pistols decide to just go for an aggressive push early on and then allow for these players to try and clutch. But I think it'd be a better idea to just spend, say, the first 40 seconds, giving DevFox the chance to pluck a man from somewhere off the site. EnVyUs still rotating players within A, going to come back to the opposite side of T-Con and not give targets to DevFox whatsoever. So instead, it's going to be the pistoleros pushing forward. Sixer and Scream able to lock down 2-0, chiming in with one headshot, gets somewhat of a ball rolling, but it is just EnVyUs shutting them down round after round. An 8-point lead now, Tom, and again, a convincing round. HellRaisers, it's not as though they're getting onto the bomb sites. It's not as though they're planting on top of it. It is just shutting down entries over and over.
I think for me as well, the scariest thing is that at 10-2 up, that round was where Sixer entered the scoreboard. He got his first 2 kills, hadn't had to do anything so far in the game, and they're winning by this margin and in such dominant fashion. It really does show how the other 4 players are having an absolute field day. Happy still only died twice, and he's not even at the top of the scoreboard. This is ludicrous. And HellRaisers, they need to start having at least some sort of impact in these rounds. Otherwise, well, this game is done and dusted. We do have Happy with the AWP spamming shots away. Well, Angel's going to go down. Obviously, they only have pistols in this round. They don't have anything too much to play with. Utility is at a 0. And really, all they want to do is try and get that bomb down, which, from my personal opinion, you want to be just rushing B. And yeah, maybe you get nothing else done in the round, but the bomb is very, very likely on that side.
Yeah, just the plant, just enough to get these purchases becoming more and more common, because we've now seen a handful of pistol rounds shining out from HellRaisers, and it's in these rounds, of course, that they were able to pick up one of their victories, but I think that's just because they've had so many of these opportunities at this point. Eventually, it's bound to work. They're yet again going to try to close the distance onto A. They have no smokes, no flashbangs, no Molotovs to force EnVyUs back. EnVyUs with 3 players on the site itself as Scream drops 2. XMS finds the 3rd. Bondik's the last man up, and as he rattles shots off the pistol, he will take 1, but XMS is there to follow suit, and EnVyUs find 11. So again, HellRaisers just looking for the bare bones minimum of success, a bomb plant, a kill, anything to say that they have done some kind of work, and ultimately they come up quite empty-handed. 1 frag is all they find yet once more, and that's really just been the story of these rounds. It's been very deflated ecos just to be turned back into even more deflated rifle rounds.
Yep, they're coming up to what will likely be their last attempt. If they get a bomb plant, at least they will have another buy in the next round. Obviously, if they win the round, that will come in as well. Now, 11-4, win a pistol. This is workable. 13-2, lose the pistol, you lose the game. So, could really change from this round alone. It's going to be an aggressive push onto this A side once again. Much faster than we've seen from them previously. And it is working wonderfully. If it isn't broke, you don't need to fix it, HellRaisers. Maybe this is the way you win the rounds. But there's Sixer, 3rd kill on the board. Bringing it back a little bit closer. Bondik is low. But once again, these are the after-plant positions we talk about. They've fallen back. They've faded away. Now the CTs have to come to them.
And already they are making a move over towards Ivy. Sixer leading the charge, but he misses the shot. Bondik goes down. XMS with the assist as Happy finalizes the frag. 3v3. Sixer 1 HP. He's going to use the Molotov over towards T-Con, trying to force these players into the open. All 3 players for EnVyUs are here on the site, but they're continuing to fall as Sixer takes yet one more. The time ticking ever quickly. Sixer gets onto the bomb. It's down to 3 seconds, but no. It will be stopped. Dead Fox able to take the frag. HellRaisers find themselves a 3rd.
Yeah, and it's almost identical to what they did with the pistols when they won that round. Well, but not too long ago. I think this was actually round number 5. They just went very, very aggressive, threw the smokes down, isolated those AWPs, held out all the passive players that were coming in, and once again, Envy get caught out because they don't really have anyone too aggressive. So, I don't really know why they didn't try that again sooner. It seems a bit odd that something that worked isn't something you try, whereas now, well, they're actually going to go for a fast play yet again. It's going to be B, RPK, the man to try and hold this off. He's going to spray down 1 and 2. Done more than enough to help his team out to try and win this round straight back.
Happy to the back of the site, trying to find an angle off of the op. They are going to be coming into this retake with 2 AWPs, but Scream's already pushing high from above. Shots firing both directions. Scream comes out on top, and he looks for more until Zero's able to respond back in. So a 2-on-2 ensues. Smoke onto the bomb to section off the line of sight. Angel dropping Sixer leaves only Happy in a clutch position. He fires rounds towards Zero's head, but Zero finds the frag through the edge of the wall as HellRaisers take 4 rounds. Towards the end of that T side, they do get 2 rounds onto the board, giving them the absolute minimum of a T side. But still here, the pistol round, it could very well dictate the entirety of the outcome. EnVyUs with one hell of a lockdown. And I think, honestly, Tom, it really does come down to RPK and Happy early on, just locking out the B site, and EnVyUs playing aggressive forward positions towards A. If you look towards the 14th round, when finally they get a victory towards the A site, it is, of course, once again, when EnVyUs have their defenders to the back of Ivy, to the back of the Z connector, and not bluntly in the faces of HellRaisers.
Yeah, I think both the last couple of rounds came down to just pacing. They were able to get the bomb down so quickly that the CT side were in a retake scenario when after plants had already come in, which was just wonderful for HellRaisers, but they didn't try it often enough. I think 3 of the 4 rounds they managed to win were based off just going quickly over towards either of the sites. However, into the pistol, investment onto Sixer will be the utility, and the kit is going to be on Dead Fox over towards that A site. They've left 1 man on B. Obviously, B is the much more retakeable of the 2 sites, especially with these long-range USPs. However, with him so far up, you could actually see a 4v5 coming quite easily for this T side if Angel isn't careful. But he's actually going to spot out the majority of the players, and now there should be a rotation coming in from at least one of these CT players just to try and back him up.
EnVyUs just going to hold the line for the time being, not going to execute forward. Again, they've got the smoke and the 2 flashbangs, very similar to the HellRaisers pistol round that we watch unfold as well. Now, unfortunately for HellRaisers, they don't have an RPK on their team, to grab a 3K to the back of the site, but instead they will rely on Angel. Here it comes. Nades out. Angel immediately removed as Scream finds the headshot and the gush onto Zero to just add insult to injury. 4 CTs already rotating over. Zero removed from the equation as RPK takes yet another. It is just down to the 4-on-2. HellRaisers have hit a bit of a wall, but Stiko able to find 2 headshots, makes this one somewhat possible. Sixer gets aggressive, trying to find Dead Fox as Stiko continues to find kills. It is Sixer to seal the deal, however, a 3K to his name and a 12th round to that of EnVyUs.
Yeah, and I think we've just seen the difference between the two teams in that exact round, how the aggression can work and how it can't. The pistol that we saw come out from HellRaisers is how the aggression didn't work. They got shut down by RPK just with crisp headshots. Now, on the other side of things, the aggression there from Envy worked wonderfully. They took over connector control. They were holding so aggressively that they didn't get anywhere near the site whatsoever. Now, 3 MAC-10s. That's ballsy. I like it. They do have a couple of AKs to back it up. And on the other side of things, we've seen a full investment. Stiko even being dropped a scout to bring into this round with Kevlar. It does mean that Dead Fox is going to be a little bit passive. Or he may actually have had enough. I think he was the only one to actually get kills in the previous round. So that may be the difference. Dead Fox is going to save a little bit of money hoping for that AWP. But the fact of the matter is they may not even have a chance to get it on the board. It's getting so late into this game. But Zero, nice start. RPK will go down. It is only one of the MAC-10s. It was one of those players that, I don't want to say expendable, but that's the word that comes to mind. However, still a decent start, and any other players being dropped could give quite a hefty advantage over to HellRaisers early in the round.
Interesting to note, HellRaisers has lost the backside of the A bomb site because we have Happy just peering in from Ivy, and he has forced, of course, Dead Fox away from this position into the trains itself. So now HellRaisers in a bit of a weird spot as they do have a flanker inbound as well. Angel trying to get behind enemy forces, but EnVyUs decide meanwhile to execute into the site where they will remove Zero from the equation. XMS takes him down. Dead Fox finds the headshot and the frag grenade as well from Bondic. He finds yet another. It's just down to the 2v4 here. Make it 1. Sixer getting aggressed from multiple angles, but from the frag he takes yet one more. He has only a smidgen of health, however, Tom, and that will not cut it. A force-buy victory for HellRaisers, despite EnVyUs taking the bomb site and finding the plant. That's a great outcome that will keep this game alive for the time being.
Well, I think you have just witnessed the reason why people don't use MAC-10s anymore. The UMP
At
is
least
king.
not 3 of them.
Yeah, it's used as a moneymaker if you know you're against nothing. But as a weapon or a 3-man attack, well, the only time I'd really be with it is if you were just going to go for a very fast, aggressive push, and then it would just be trades rather than sort of one player over one side of the map. Because individually, in a duel, they should be losing, and, well, they did. HellRaisers, they've been given them, well, they've given themselves a lifeline rather than been given one. But you can see what looks like an attempt at a bomb plant going to be coming in from Envy. Very aggressive. They'll take over upper control, and they're just going to burst straight onto the site. And, well, there's a very passive HellRaisers at the moment. Nice start from RPK. Actually gets a double. P250 just working out at the moment. They've got this bomb down. There's no armor on their side. But with a 2-man advantage, maybe it's possible.
Lots of damage dealt, though. 3 of EnVyUs' players down already. RPK going to get burned out from his position as Stiko drops Sixer from the site itself. He takes down RPK to follow suit. Scream to the site. Happy on high. And it is just he who's left. Stiko, 1 frag away from the ace. Of course, the smoke onto the bomb itself. Happy gets within the smoke, trying to find a knife, swinging every which way, but he's still standing, and he's going to stop the defuse. Oh my goodness, Stiko finding the ace. And also the defuse. Oh. I thought so, but that was so incredibly close. If you consider that Happy just jumps into the smoke grenade and starts going full melee, that should have never happened. But still, EnVyUs walk away with a near round. AK's back onto the board. Great bomb plant for them. HellRaisers still, as you said, with a lifeline.
That's a ridiculous amount of damage done, though, considering that each player invested $300 for Envy, and, well, Happy comes out with $1,500 as a minimum. So, scary, scary times. Even in the rounds that they lose, it is looking like HellRaisers are not doing too well, at least. Or as a minimum, they're not doing well at all over on this CT side to start, but they're at least getting themselves the rounds. They have got a decent buy on the board, although the AKs are going to come with an awful lot of utility. The bomb plant was probably more than Envy ever expected in the previous round, and it will give that big bolster to their economy. Now, as a setup, relatively similar to what we saw. Quite passive at the moment from this CT side, although Angel is looking tempted to go a little bit more aggressive. However, the T's, actually the majority of them are over towards Ivy and playing passive, just waiting for any aggression to come out from this CT side, and well, they're not going to offer it up to them other than DevFox having a little bit of a peek, and really all that's done is gather him a little bit of extra information.
DevFox going to get burned back. A lot of nades raining in here from Ivy, and HellRaisers are going to respond back with grenades of their own, but still the T's push on forward. Scream and XMS both removed from the round as Stiko doubles down yet again. Bondic finding himself a headshot, shutting out the T-Con push. Happy's been spotted. They know the man's top dog, and this round is in the bag for HellRaisers, who are now starting to piece together a decent enough start to this CT half. I think EnVyUs came into this second half with a lot of confidence, that shining through not only with their buying of the triple Mac 10, but then also the fact that they have just been hitting bomb sites quickly. This round, they try to go for the UMP push out of Ivy, despite, of course, being burned alive in the process. So very aggressive and rapid-paced rounds here from the French side. Starting to hit a bit of a wall, though, as HellRaisers have now put 3 onto the board and do sit at only a 5-round disadvantage.
Yeah, a lot of that wall is also being put up. But what? Happy gets one. RPK with that P250 has been an absolute menace. Stiko has been, well, a big part of that wall. 8 kills in the last 2 rounds for his team, so maybe he can look to put it back up a little bit higher and shut out these pistols once again. But RPK now sat with a UMP. We know how deadly this weapon can be. Happy still taking the challenge versus Stiko, but the rest of the team are just going to explode onto the site, and Stiko is going to have to turn his attentions back.
Stiko finds the headshot. XMS, yet another. Oh, but there's Happy again with the deagle and the final frag as well. EnVyUs proving that they don't need primaries, Tom. Just a couple of pistols and some favorable engagements. We did see HellRaisers give them up quite a few 1v1s, especially those 2 towards Happy in the Ivy halls. But again, you don't expect those 1-digs to just rip your head clean from its shoulders. Nonetheless, a surprising outcome for EnVyUs. HellRaisers taken aback a little as they will buy into this round as well, but it does only give them a 5-7 in the hands of Angel. An op for DevFox, though, and he could be able to find himself an early pick as he looks to take down Happy, who had such impact in that previous round.
Yeah, the bank of Stiko will actually bail them out in this round. He had 11,000 to spend, and well, good thing too, because that is an absolutely horrific round to lose versus, again, minimal investment. They're just unable to control versus these pistols, and the worrying thing is they actually take over the A site way too easily. Yes, they had a 2-man advantage, but that's very, very scary, especially considering this is only the first map. 13-7. Envy, arguably the better buy, but still want to look towards DevFox. He can be a man to take matches into his own hands. He hasn't done it as of yet. In fact, he currently sits at the bottom of the board, and this is something we have seen from HellRaisers in some of the bigger games that have happened, at least in the online qualification. And well, this is the last step. One of these teams stays at home, the other goes to fight for a $300,000 land.
Bondic from above. Sees a lot of presence coming in from T-Con, but he's also ever so worried about the bottom of Pop, and that is where RPK does stand. Now RPK peeks wide and instantly removes Bondic from the train yard. Happy trying to lurk in from Ivy as well. He's gonna have a player to his side as RPK takes yet another. The headshots are so clean. RPK with a 3rd as well before Sixer is taken out of this equation. It is just down to the 4-on-2. EnVyUs with a double-man advantage. Stiko sectioned off. They know exactly where he is. And here is the save call from HellRaisers, looking to grandfather forward those 2 M4s, the armor, and the few nades that they have left over. The economy as well for the CTs is not looking hot or heavy. And EnVyUs will be 1 away from, at the very least, securing OT.
This is just sort of like, don't mess with the tank. That's all I can say. You don't. There was a moment there where I was sort of watching the perspective of DevFox. So, okay, he's holding the angle. RPK's going to walk into his crosshair. RPK will, oh, never mind, just take his head clean off. Didn't even sweat. Not even a second of thought into that shot. Just making things look very, very easy. And well, now we look towards the buy that's going to come out from HellRaisers towards the end. They are going to take another pause to try it and come up with something here, but I don't know what they can really hope to achieve. Sticko could drop a rifle. They should be able to get maybe a UMP or something of the sort, or pistols if they want extra utility. But whatever the case here, it's going to be one of the worst buys they've had. And if they lose this round, they get reset back to pistols to fight for what will be match point for Envy.
Yeah, EnVyUs have just been in control of this game. And I mean, sure, we do see 3 rounds from HellRaisers added to the board after that round 2 slip up. But as we had mentioned before, you kind of have to accredit that to the buy-in of EnVyUs. It certainly didn't put them in much of a competitive stance, and then the pistols overwhelmed them. But I think coming into this game, Tom, it was you who said that there was an X factor as for the individual skill of the EnVyUs players, that Scream could go ahead and carry games, that Sixer could do the same. But today it's RPK, and I think that's just vintage. He has been locking down the B-bomb site and now proving his worth as the entry fragger. Angel's going to try to get himself something towards ladder, but no. Scream tucks tail and does get himself to safety. 5-on-5 ensues, and a great little aggression from HellRaisers trying to take the early fight, but they come up empty-handed.
Yeah, they're actually going to double up in pop. RPK, well, he's just going to go walking out onto the B site upper. A risky play to make, obviously feeling insanely confident the way he's been playing in this matchup. I don't blame him. 21-13, but it will hand that man advantage over towards this CT side, something they haven't had too much. Now, if you look at the amount of utility the T's have, they still have plenty to actually play with, but they are just sitting back, moving their way over towards this B site. They do have Happy on the lurk. It's where he belongs. It's what he does. Unfortunately, this time he's going to go down and will leave the 3-man attack to try and take this B site.
They're going to use the smoke grenade to section off the Z connector. Rotates coming in, but Sticko to the back of the train's already finding the head of Sixer. He's looking for more as XMS plants the bomb. Scream's been toppled over, and it would be a 1v5 ace clutch. Not gonna happen. 5 players standing at the end of the round for HellRaisers, despite the disadvantageous buy. I mean, they make it work. Angel gets aggressive towards the front side of the A site. He forces Scream up the ladder, and then, of course, we see Happy try to lurk in just to take a bullet to the head. So, great forward aggression, takes that portion of the map control, and I would say, very similarly to the CT side of EnVyUs. Locking down A early on, forcing their opponents towards the B-bomb site, where ultimately HellRaisers are just able to come out on top.
Yeah, it definitely seems that there are similarities between both the teams playing the CT side, and the fact that staying passive just doesn't work. That seems to be the big thing that's come to my mind. It's like, okay, if you sit towards bomb train, the other team is probably going to win the round because you just haven't been able to cope. Whereas when they're the ones taking the sort of intuition, the ones thinking about what they're going to do, what they're going to take, how they're going to take over it, that's when the CT sides of both of these teams have actually come alive. Now, the T side aren't going to have any trouble buying back up. The couple of rounds were relatively clean, and they were able to build up some money. 6 are even going to be onto the AWP as well, so they'll have that dynamic in play, something that the CT side are unable to get in play at the moment. DevFox going to be on a rifle instead. Now, from the CT perspective, they were able to build up quite a bit of money just by how clean the previous round was, but they still may have some problems if they lose this round, and obviously then they lose one more and they are out of this map.
Quite shocking stuff as well to see EnVyUs such a commanding lead, seeing as they lost to G2 16-3. I mean, that was a spanking in and of itself, but today they've come to play. HellRaisers still with an opportunity, though. Happy in the corner, cowering as Bondic splatters his skull. Man advantage immediately gained here to the HellRaisers' favor, not to mention damage dealt upon 2 additional players, both Scream and XMS tagged quite heavily to the mid-50s. But EnVyUs, with 3 players over towards Ivy, are just going to be relying on the op of Sixer to try and take this man advantage away from the HellRaisers' forces. 2 players for HellRaisers over towards the B site. They, of course, are just keeping an eye towards RPK, who is just creeping his way around the upper halls, making sure that no flank has been forced from HellRaisers, but instead they're just going to have to hold the line, and Scream opens up a window of opportunity. The smoke to the left. XMS dropped as Angel comes in from the right. Scream tries to peek out himself, but no. Scream wins the duel. 3v3 ensues. And now the rest of EnVyUs in a prime position to 3-pronged assault onto the A site.
Yeah, rotation will be coming in from 0. They do have a little bit of boost over towards the connector. Will they actually check the angles? Nade's going to be thrown out. Will be spotted. Bondit going to have to fall back. And now they're actually isolated from the site itself. Bomb will be able to go down. And well, after plant positions on the A site are very, very effective. There's so many angles that need to be cleared. They're going to be playing actually relatively close to the bomb. Not falling back as far as expected. All down that left side of the train. It's going to be the challenge coming out from Zero. He'll be the first to try and push back in.
RPK in the close right corner. Zero goes wide. Spot Smith makes up contact, and there you go. Sixer and then RPK to remove the final two. EnVyUs just winning duels at this point. Again, I think there was the factor of individual skill that we were wondering where it would shine through, and it's in moments like that. Once you've given EnVyUs a bomb plant and a solid crossfire in the afterplant scenario, a very tough team to dig out of those trenches. And so HellRaisers find themselves down by 7 and facing a defeat here on the opening map of the series. EnVyUs 15, ever so close. With yet another buy, they're going to head out towards the B site early on, bomb to the top of the halls, just keeping an eye towards the ladder. And it seems as though HellRaisers will position one player down there. That's going to be Bondic off of the ump, the only SMG other than that of Zero here for the CT side. And even Zero taking very forward positioning towards the B bomb site. He's going to have support from Angel towards the oil tankard, but still dangerously close to his opponents as EnVyUs are gearing up for the site execution. RPK taken down. Angel's going to weather the storm, and Zero, surprise, surprise, finds one before Scream responds back. Angel yet again locking down the B bomb site for the 4v2 man advantage. Happy with a bit more of a sliver of hope, however. A minute on the clock, and things slow down.
Yeah, I wonder if the bomb's actually been spotted. I think, yeah, Angel does have a little bit of an angle onto the bomb, which is going to make things much more difficult. Sixer with the AWP. Well, it's unlikely he'll check this exact angle, although he has been roughly in this position before. Sixer going to miss the shot, giving Angel more and more of a chance, and the rest of the team have begun to rotate in. It does look like they're setting up more for a retake rather than to deny this bomb plant, which, well, a bomb plant in this scenario could help the T's massively of getting a better buy into the next round if they are to lose this round. Happy, meanwhile, sneaking up the top. Angel and Dead Fox actually within his scope if they're not careful, but never mind. He's not going to be able to win the duel. He'll leave it down to just Sixer. Can't connect onto the first of Angel, and he is starting to run out of time. Oh, doesn't even look like he's going to challenge for this one. Falling back, waiting to see if there's anybody pushing from behind, but they are all over towards the site, so he will be able to save this AWP. And going into the next round with the extra money from Scream, they should still be able to weather a buy.
Quite lucky for EnVyUs, or rather HellRaisers, that when the bomb is dropped, it flies past the site itself. It doesn't just sit stuck in the corner of the cover, but rather fully exposed and out in the open. So the positioning from Angel over towards the spool was very easily able to just lock down that position. And honestly, Happy took a great initiative. That lurk with the AK could have very easily found him a window of opportunity, if not enough to find additional frags, at least enough for Sixer to retrieve the bomb. But unfortunately, he misses his shots, and therefore HellRaisers find the round. So a hard reset versus EnVyUs leaves them with a nice chunk of change. Not a full economic blowout, but enough to find a buy relatively soon. In the meantime, EnVyUs are going to come into this round with still 2 primary weapons, an AK and an AWP in the hands of Sixer, but Angel immediately finding himself a headshot as XMS finds the response back. It's Angel the double down, but Scream yet again taking names here towards A. As Happy creeps forward, he executes Stico, splattering him to the back of Ivy and giving the Frenchman a man advantage.
Surely it can't be happening again. It's not that much invested. Zero will bring it back to a 2 versus 2. Decent positioning from Dev Fox. Will leave it down to just miss the one tap to try and challenge versus 2. Now, this isn't even a full investment. They should be able to buy into the next round anyway. This was more of just, okay, we have a little bit of spare money on Scream. Let's get him an AK. So, down to a 2 versus 1. This is not a bad position for them to be in, considering what they put onto the board. Even just dropping another player could make the buy in the next round much more difficult. And there we go. Scream gets one more, bringing it down to a 1 versus 1. Has the bomb in his hand. Zero is actually going to be sneaking around the train, though, as the bomb goes down. This should be a free kill, and that will be the round for HellRaisers. Looking to try and save an AWP, which was actually dropped in main. I think that should be in the body of RPK. And, well, that will be something for DevFox to play with in the next round, although he really isn't having too good a game at the moment. 8 to 19, not something you expect from a man who can be the star player of this team. But they're still chugging their way back over on the CT side.
Yeah, that's the thing, is everybody barring him has really kind of stepped it up on the CT half. I mean, we see Stiko now sitting above 20 frags, everybody within that low to mid-teen range as well, but Dead Fox is really going to be this X factor. If he too can start finding impact, then I think we really do have a game on our hands. I mean, I think if you look at the outcomes of the CT rounds, it's fair to say that EnVyUs were much more convincing, only the pistol round being a defuse, whereas the vast majority of the wins here for HellRaisers have come off of those after plant wins. So now that they have an op on Dead Fox, now that everybody has their M4s, full grenades as well, there's really no more excuses for the HellRaisers CT half. If they want to finalize this comeback, if they want to force OT, then it's going to take every single player to really step up to the plate. And he is the only one who is yet to have a big round. But that's all it takes. A round like this, when he has an AWP, to find a couple of picks, to bring the man advantage into the HellRaisers' favor early on. But for the time being, he will meet absolutely no targets. As he sits over towards Ivy, there is nobody here for EnVyUs, who have instead opted to head themselves towards the B-bomb site.
Yeah, it does look like for the first time in a while, we're going to see the whole team going in that direction. I expect maybe Happy will just wait for any sort of rotation. Actually, he's going to be going in as well. Let's do a little bit of burn damage to himself, but not anything fatal at least. It's still going to be a two-pronged attack, and this is actually going to be a full setup coming in over onto this B side, straight out the left-hand side. Happy will start things off. Entry kill coming in, and he's going to go aggressive. Once again, they've taken so much control early on. He is getting spammed through the smoke. Damage being taken. RPK will lose his life as well, but here goes Happy. Sheer aggression catches out one more. Bomb planted, and he's in the back lines. This is just horrible for the CT side. They need to deal with him, and Zero is not going to be able to. That's another kill for Happy, leaving it down to just one man. Stiko, he was the star of the first couple of rounds of this half at least, but now he has to find 3 kills back in. He is spotting the head of Sixer, who's actually going to kill XMS with the nade. Not the sort of Kobe that you want to see, and maybe this gives an opportunity to Stiko. Jumps back in, finds the first one to Scream. Now Sixer, he has to try and rectify this, but there's no kit on Stiko. It will be done. Sixer will finish off this first map, and Train goes the way of Envy.
Sixer coming up big after a bit of a mishap there. Imagine the stress he's feeling when not only he kills his teammate in the 1v3, but then his other teammate dies. And it's just down to him with a P250 and an op as well as the player pushes the site. But Stiko, no defuse kit, no chance, no opportunity. HellRaisers, give it up. And that was, of course, the opening map. We still have potentially 2 more to go, Tom. I believe the next is Mirage, correct?
Yeah, and that is where we really will see what Envy have to offer, because it's not really a map that we've seen them play too much since they've reformed with this new lineup. I think they might have played it versus Heroic in the sort of IEM qualifiers, but other than that, I don't think they played it at all, so it could be a very good pick coming in for HellRaisers. Either way, that will be coming up after the break. If you've enjoyed the cast, you can type !cast in the chat. Leave us your thoughts on Twitter, who you think is going to be actually taking the next map. Do you think HellRaisers can make a comeback? And also, if you missed any of the previous maps, in the description below, you can see the YouTube channel, which has every single... well, I think it's got every single match that has been played, including NA as well. So make sure to check that out. Either way, we will be back in a little bit after the break to give you map number 2, which will be Mirage.